EUenable for Educators, part of the Professional Development Series for the EUenable Anti-Bullying Programme. This webinar will cover a short animation summarising the EUenable programme, an in-depth overview of the lesson materials themselves, and then a series of short videos about how schools here in the UK have used the materials themselves in the classroom, and finally what other professional development content is available to skill you up in using the EUenable anti-bullying programme. So what is EUenable? EUenable is a pan-European initiative funded by the European Union Director General Justice and is made up of a number of partner countries that include the UK, Denmark, Belgium, Croatia and Greece. It's further supported by a number of associate partners from industry. The overarching theme of EUenable is to develop social and emotional knowledge and skills that empower young people to not only manage their own emotions but develop sophisticated and effective strategies to recognise and intervene in bullying situations when they arise. Very often, traditional approaches to resolving bullying conflict tend to be linear, a set of measures that support the victim and a set of punitive strategies aimed against the bullying. EUenable focuses on the wider social dynamic around bullying issues. All of those people that have different roles in supporting, sustaining, contributing and passively watching bullying, and those too that are very often held back from reporting. The aim of EUenable is to mobilise that wider social dynamic. Mobilise it in a way that changes whole school climate towards bullying. The social and emotional aspects of the teaching materials have a built-in progression that begin with self-awareness. Do I recognise my own emotions? Can I communicate my own feelings? That moves on to self-management. Can I manage my feelings and change them in a way that is positive? We then move on to social awareness. Do I recognise those emotions in those people around me? And finally, relationship management. Can I influence others around me, and how? The whole programme consists of a wide range of complementary resources that include teaching resources for the social and emotional learning programme, consisting of lesson plans, student resources, teaching materials, and classroom methodology guidance. There are peer support materials for both staff and students that include guidance for schools on implementing a peer support scheme. And two, there is an anti-bullying parent and carer pack to ensure consistency of message. This webinar, however, is going to explore in a little more depth the teaching materials. Let's begin by looking at one of the two main components of the EUenable programme, the social and emotional learning lesson plans for teachers. These were created by our team here at Southwest Grid for Learning in the UK. The EUenable lesson plan sequence consists of 10 lessons designed to be delivered over around about a 10-week period, although it's at the discretion, of course, of the teacher to make this longer or shorter as they deem fit. The progression follows the SEL progression mentioned in the introduction, through self and social awareness to self and social management. There are opportunities, both at the beginning and end of the progression, for self-review, to measure progress. Whilst it's been designed to be delivered as a progression, it can be, of course, adapted and used as stand-alone lessons. This could be to match with other curriculum opportunities, or indeed to be used reactively as an educative intervention if certain issues arise. This is an example of the first section of a lesson plan. This particular one is Lesson 4, Reading Emotions in Social Situations, part of the Social Awareness section of the SEL progression. Each lesson in the 10-lesson sequence is structured in the same way. There is a clear planning flow that includes links to associated lesson resources and very clear timings, preparation, objectives, etc. The lesson plan also emphasizes the importance of the plenary session, linking the lesson outcomes to the next set of objectives in the sequence. But there are also opportunities for further work through extension activities, particularly those that explore a wide range of media and preferred routes of expression. This multimodal approach offers real ways to link your anti-bullying strategy with other areas of the curriculum. The lessons are supported by associated resources. The example seen here is a student support sheet for interpreting physical indicators of emotion. To further support the teacher, there is a presentation resource in both PowerPoint and PDF formats for use on displays and interactive whiteboards. This resource follows the lesson plan flow with content that reinforces objectives, provides visual prompts for discussion, and outlines activities. All resources are referenced in the lesson plan and can be downloaded directly from the EUenable resource website. An important component of the teaching materials is the support and guidance booklet Making EUenable Work. Not only does it outline the EUenable approach and assist you with making the case for using EUenable within your school, but also includes many valuable teaching strategies, including classroom organization scenarios, and a multimodal section that outlines a wide array of opportunities to build EUenable strategies into the rest of your curriculum. So why use EUenable? And how are you going to get the most out of the program? The following 3 videos give an insight, first of all, into EUenable being used in classrooms. Secondly, a video focused on teacher feedback about how they've used the EUenable program, how they've adapted it and which bits have worked best for them. And finally, some honest feedback from students about how they engaged with the EUenable program, the pieces they enjoyed the most, and what they anticipate they'll get out of it.
You're sporty, okay, yeah. I might say I'm quite brave, quite enthusiastic, quite loud, and they're all things what we mean by qualities, okay? So with your group, while the song is on, as many things as possible. Off we go. So somebody who knows when to go in, so when to act, somebody who's quite intuitive. They've got timing, so good timing, so obviously being able to act quickly, or sometimes maybe think, stay back a little bit, and again use your timing quite effectively. They're focused, I saw some of you with that written down. They're good with language and communication skills, they can read a situation, so some people obviously are better at this than others. Does it look dangerous? Is it too dangerous for me to go near there? Do I need to do something? They have escape groups up here, so how they can obviously escape anything that's dangerous. Good with self-defence, that's obviously one of our 5 R's, so they are quite resilient and can cope. And courage. Do we have anything other than what I've come up with, guys? Okay.
Well, a good field agent needs to be fast, physically and mentally, because so you can get to a situation quicker and then you can think of a solution to help the situation.
Ooh, fantastic, good girl. Okay, has anyone got anything else? But definitely, I love the way you said physically and mentally, so that they're always having to think, aren't they? It's not just about being strong, it's about being able to think of solutions yourself.
So it was good that we were able to draw what we felt for those going through it, and also how we felt and our perspective on it. So today we're taking that a step further, and today's lesson is sowing the seeds. So we've talked about the issues with bullying, and now we want to talk about how we can react. And I've said before, you don't ever need to put yourself in the situation of a physical conflict. You know, you don't need to take a punch for anybody, it's nothing like that at all. But we're going from leaving bystander bullying to being upstanders, so encouraging people to speak out, coming and asking for support, and that whole role of peer support. So we've got James Bond on the screen here, and other than the word handsome, what words might we use to describe the role of an agent? So when we were in year 8, we would have looked at the roles for a king. So what makes a good secret agent? Sasha? James Bond, what's good about him?
Mysterious.
He's mysterious, so I like that. What else is good about James Bond? Michael, have you any words for James Bond?
Subtlety.
Subtlety? Yeah, that's a good one. What else, please, Adam?
Sneaky.
He's sneaky and he's crafty. Rachel, have you any? Oh, dangerous. Well, he's willing to take risks, isn't he?
What's your right? Physical.
Just about 10 more seconds and then I'll hear some of your comments.
Or like try and help the bully.
Try and separate them.
Yeah. Like understand why the bully's doing it.
Try and help or empathize.
Yeah, use or be empathetic.
Big word. Empathize.
What's the difference?
Sympathize for love. And empathize, yeah. Yeah, just understand the problem.
My parents. Parents, yeah. Anything particular about your parents that you would like to sort of copy and emulate?
They don't like. They kind of like lead me to doing like the right decisions, and like if someone's like annoying me or something, I should just walk away. And they encourage me to do that, and I would want to be like them.
Or maybe he's on his own. It's whether you think that the role you've taken on enables boys to talk a little bit more about how they're feeling, as opposed to if you weren't around and you wouldn't have that avenue to talk to. What do you think?
I definitely think it's sort of a pathway to opening people up and making people especially with ages as well. You know, you've got someone the same age as you, so it's a lot more adaptable than the average campaign.
And have you had any experience with boys particularly where you break up something?
Quiet ones normally, you know, the ones that just sort of ghost around by themselves. You just speak to them and it's like, yeah, and our space as well.
The most important thing about this whole project is sustaining it and keeping it going for years and years and years. And the idea is that because of the work you've done in this pilot scheme, it will enable us to carry it on. Because it's your ideas and the feedback from you that have given me the ideas that I need to work on to improve the training and to encourage more and more children to get involved. So this table I asked asked you that question, how do we continue to encourage children to become peer support mentors? Do you want to share with the whole group what your thoughts are?
Well, we said that we could make a video of like different people who were part of it this year and like what they gained from it and how they felt it went. And then like if anyone was like confident enough, they could do an assembly like with you when you go and like sell it to the year 7s, the new year 7s. Like a few people could come along and explain, but then it's just finding people who'd be willing to like stand up in assembly.
Yeah, it's a big ask, isn't it, really? Anybody in here would be willing to stand up in front of 250 children and just talk a little bit about your experience and why they should volunteer? Out you would as well.
Why is, sort of dealing with bullying important for your school?
I think it's important for every school, and I think schools that say that there's no such thing as bullying in their school are not telling the whole truth, because I think it goes on, if not in school, there's a lot that goes on out of school which we can't ignore, because it does end up being brought into school.
We take bullying very seriously in our school, and part of our motto is that we are a caring learning environment, and on one level, children that feel safe in school will be happy to come to school and attendance will be good, and so results will be good. And we're a high achieving grammar school, so results are important for the parents and the pupils.
Well, we've always covered a scheme of work which enabled the students to look at, their changes that they're going through regarding friendships and relationships and bullying and so on. But when we saw this scheme of work, we thought it was a step up from what we're used to, in the sense it really got them to look at themselves and their own emotions, what triggers their emotions, and obviously that gave them, hopefully, well, as we went through, it did transpire, it gave them a better understanding of managing themselves, but then obviously being able to understand how other people feel as a consequence maybe of how they relate to them socially.
Why have you taken on this project, this specific project, EUenable?
Well, my job is Pastoral Deputy Head, and I am passionate about anti-bullying and about the importance of every child feeling safe and secure, because at the end of the day, unless they're feeling safe and secure, they're not going to be able to access the curriculum. So from that standpoint, I think the child's welfare, for me, the child's welfare is the most important part of their schooling.
So we are trying to really evoke a very positive climate in our school. We're a big team school, team approach, and we all lean in on each other, and when bullying's happening, that just is detrimental to the whole climate for everybody, for the learning that's going on in the classroom, for the experiences the children have, and also the experiences the staff have.
And what have you seen from EUenable? What do you think the good things about it have been?
The actual project, I think, is fantastic. The premise behind it is superb. I think the resources are phenomenal, because when you're asking a school to take on board a project like this, time is always going to be an issue, but that you don't need to take the time to put the resources together because they're done for you.
I found it great, the fact that all the lessons are planned to the smallest detail. That's been really good, because obviously as a history teacher I'm committed to teaching my subject, and then to find the time to deliver this to the pupils, and never mind to go and do all the lesson prep. So time-wise, EUenable's been really manageable because the resources are there, the PowerPoints are there, etc. And we've been able to tweak and adapt them to suit the pupils.
And what has the response been from all staff around this?
I think staff have been very positive. We have a fantastic staff. They're very, very supportive. They really care about the children. I probably haven't advertised it as much with staff as I have with the children, and that's really something I need to take on board now. I need to look at the bigger picture, and moving forward there needs to be more than just me, behind the project.
So there needs to be a number of staff involved, rather than just one champion, if you like, of bullying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the first lesson we started with the questionnaire.
So all of the Year 7s did the questionnaire?
All of the Year 7s. Again, depending on the group, it took some groups longer than others, which, to be honest, you know, it doesn't really matter neither here nor there. It was important that they all understood their starting point. We talked very much about the importance of being honest when they were filling in that questionnaire, and actually I, you know, encouraged the staff to fill it in alongside with the pupils, so that they could discuss, you know, what they found about themselves as well, to make the students feel more comfortable, obviously contributing their findings. So we identified whether we were good at managing our emotions, at recognising emotions in other people, and for me it was my managing emotions, that was my area to focus on.
So they've enjoyed it. Do you think it has changed attitudes and behaviours?
I think it's a long-term project. I don't think there's going to be a quick change. I think it has to a degree. I definitely think there's a number of children, you know, who've benefited, particularly younger ones, who have been up to anti-bullying ambassadors. They've seen the badge, they know who they are, they've seen their photographs around the site, and they've asked them, you know, advice or whatever. And the ambassadors know that if they're concerned, they can come to me or any member of staff.
Okay. So have you seen any actual individual successes with bullying, without going into detail, actual examples of success from the project?
Yeah, I think I've seen maybe 3 or 4 children in year 7 particularly who have been unhappy, not felt happy, particularly because of things that have been going on out of school with social media. But they've had, in this particular instance, I'm thinking of a 6th form peer supporter who has really mentored them and taught them and met them regularly. And that has really raised this child's self-esteem and self-confidence.
I think the girls are definitely a bit more engaged than the boys. We have committed in school to raising boy standards through active learning, and EUenable does feed itself for that. But I think the content of the lessons for some of our year 10 boys is maybe just not as engaging as it is for some of the girls. The boys can find it difficult when we're talking about their emotions and how they cope with feelings. Some of the boys are very engaged, and just as a typical classroom, some of them are maybe less engaged. And so on reflection, the content might be more suited to our year 9 students if we continue with it next year.
I think the girls were a lot quicker and a lot more receptive early on with regards to the questionnaire and being comfortable talking about things. And obviously there's probably many reasons for that. The girls obviously are used to filling in magazines and stuff and talking about how they feel with each other. But over time the boys did adapt, you know, continue to do it, using apps, using more technology. Group work enabled them to, again, come out of themselves a little bit, trying to make sure the boys are working with girls, mixed groups. And so, yeah, over time, but they were a lot slower at embracing it.
Now, you're deputy head of the school.
I am.
And do you think it's important that it's seen to be coming from senior management, this kind of push, this new culture, the project itself?
I do. I think with any initiative, I think it has to start from the top down. And I know the head is behind this 100%. And unless you've got that behind a project, I think it's hard to get it off the ground, really.
And what about how to sustain project?
Yes, this is the next challenge, really. So, you know, having asked all of the anti-bullying ambassadors if they'd like to continue in the role, they've all said yes. So I would envisage keeping the team I've got, minus the year 13 and the year 11 who don't stay on for 6th form, and then opening it out again to all the year groups, using them, using videos of them, using them in assemblies, and creating, you know, more anti-bullying ambassadors.
I think long term, yes. I think short term at the minute, it's opening really good discussions. I particularly like the element we're looking at about being a bystander to bullying, and the children are being quite open and saying, oh yes, I have laughed at this, or I have witnessed that and I haven't intervened. So just challenging those preconceptions that it's okay to stand and laugh if somebody's being pushed against a locker, or to like a nasty comment on Facebook. So I think, yes, with the 2 year groups, the 2 classes that are going through the pilot, we're definitely challenging those, but long term it would need to sort of become much more of the culture of the school.
Some of the young people here have talked about boys and their difficulty in talking about emotions. What's your kind of
I mean, they've got it right, haven't they? It's absolutely spot on. I mean, I deal with a lot of issues to do with, you know, behaviour in and out of school and bullying and that kind of thing. The boys that I deal with, more often than not, it's a fight. With girls, it goes deeper. There's a lot more verbal communication. And when you talk to boys, there's definitely a difference in how they really struggle to open up and to deal with their emotions. And often the fight is because that's the only way they could deal with their emotions. They didn't have the facility, the capacity to actually talk about how they're feeling.
And do you think if the lessons enable them to start opening up a little bit more about emotions and recognising emotions in others, that actually will help in...
I think it will. It won't help everybody, but I think it's a starting point. I think there's a long way to go, because I think it's quite a cultural thing, not just in this school but everywhere, that boys struggle with their feelings and expressing them. I have parents tell me, he doesn't talk to me, he won't tell me how he feels. So it's not just in school, you know, it's at home as well.
For more information about EUenable, visit the EUenable website.
Yeah, does bullying happen here?
Yeah, maybe not at its most extreme level, but definitely in some forms, yeah.
Okay, and do you think the EUenable project will help students here to deal with it?
It will definitely make people think about it more, and it might inspire people to do something.
Tell me a little bit about the lessons about emotions.
There were like a lot of people contributed, but most of them were girls.
Okay, and tell me about sort of emotions and how you were able to measure and think about your emotions.
They were all like face features. We talked about like face features and how different they were with every different mood.
So you saw a sort of a series of pictures, and you talked about the kind of the emotions on those pictures. And what about your own emotions? How were you able to measure your own emotions?
We used this app at home, and we were assigned to like measure our mood every day. And I was actually at the end of the month, there was like this graph at the end, and at the end of the month, I was really relieved to see that I was happy most of the days.
And did you kind of find out why you were happy, or why some days you weren't happy?
Most of them were most of the reasons were like family and friends.
Okay, so how do you think EUenable, the project EUenable, and the lessons that you're doing might help?
Well, it makes people more aware of what's actually going on and how you can actually sort it. And you can learn how people actually feel, and you can find the symptoms, that sort of thing. Like if they suddenly change, and you can spot bullying more easily.
Okay, and have you ever sort of seen bullying happen, and have you now, because of the lessons, changed perhaps the way that you would deal with bullying?
Well, I've seen bullying happen and teasing and stuff, and because of the lessons I became more confident, and a few days ago I was able to stop one of the boys teasing another boy, so it does help.
Yeah.
Do you think you're at the right age to be doing the EUenable project?
Yes, definitely, especially the lessons that we're doing now. It's very beneficial.
Okay, and do you think it's beneficial for younger students to be doing, or do you think you're exactly the right age that you should be?
I think, well, probably year 9, year 10 is definitely the right age to do it. I think any younger, the lessons that we were doing would be a bit too far, but definitely the lessons we're doing is definitely the right age. So
what is your kind of impression about bullying?
I think it dies down in year 9, because it starts off in year 7, and it because you settle into your groups and your friends, so it's not as bad in year 9, and so you're with your friends and you don't really are targeted that much because you're in a group.
What about sort of the internet and what we sometimes call cyberbullying? Does that happen?
Yeah, it does, but because you're alone on the internet and you don't have your group of friends to defend you, but you're kind of targeted more on social media because you're alone.
So has there been a kind of a lesson or an activity that you've really enjoyed and thought has been really worthwhile?
I think it's been a combination of both. Like, we've been hands-on with giving our own opinion on how we feel about it, and it's also teaching us how to manage ourselves and other situations with different people, and I think it's really beneficial for us.
And do you think you've been given opportunities with the lessons to say how you feel about things?
And definitely when they put us in with our group of friends, especially, it's more comfortable to say what we think.
And can you tell me a little bit about this EUenable project, what it is?
Well, it's basically a project that can help pupils with bullying, especially how to deal with it, and to realise that it's not just them that goes through it, it's a lot of other people on a daily basis in the school that goes through it.
So does bullying take place here?
It does take place here quite a lot.
Can you give me some examples of what kind of bullying might happen?
Well, in my class there are a few boys who make fun of one particular boy really badly, and it's really upsetting to say because he is my friend, but you get scared to speak out about it because the boys in our class are quite intimidating. So you just kind of have to sit back and you don't know what to do.
So the lessons that you've been doing, do you think they are helping, first of all, the person who is being bullied, and do you think those people who are bullying might take a step back and think about what they're doing?
I feel like it's really helping the boy who is getting bullied to settle his anxiety about it, and also for the other boys who are doing bullying, to realise that they're taking it too far and that it is really emotionally affecting him.
Well, it made you think about your own emotions and how happy you were and how sad you were.
Okay, and do you think it is linked to bullying, emotions that people have?
Yeah, because it's good to be able to tell if someone's sad or angry, because then you can see what's going on.
Mm-hmm. And what about boys? Did they get involved in talking about the emotions?
Not very much. They're more they keep it into themselves.
They keep it into themselves, yeah. Do you think those lessons might have helped some boys to...
Maybe, yeah.
Okay. Can I ask you a question about boys? And do you think the boys are getting engaged with talking about their emotions through this project?
A little bit more, but not as much as the girls, really.
So you feel the girls are very happy to give their kind of opinions about emotions, and whereas boys find it more difficult?
Yeah.
I feel like society always makes it out that boys have to be stronger than girls, so that's what a girl could want almost. So but whenever boys can talk about their feelings too, but I feel like boys almost feel like it's wrong for them to, because they don't want to come across as weak almost. Because I feel like social media has really portrayed that boys have to be stronger for girls to like them almost.
Okay.
That's so cringy.
Well, that's great. And in your lessons that you've had, have the boys talked about their emotions and talked about the emotions of other people?
Not really.
Not really. They've kind of been a bit shy, if you like, and a bit, slow in coming forward with that. And what about you and your group of friends? Because you work, normally in the groups, you work with the people you're comfortable with. So did you enjoy talking about emotions and feelings?
Yeah, with my two best friends, Lucy and Rachel, it's really good to talk to them.
And what about the kind of the messages about bullying? What do you think the most important messages are that have come from the project?
Definitely that it's a constant thing, bullying, not just a one-time off tease. It can happen all the time, and it's not just physical, and it's verbal, and that bystanders also take part in bullying, and it's not as big a part as the actual bullier. But it's just as important, really. Okay,
and do you think it helps people who perhaps are bystanders to be upstanders, if you like, or to make sure they get involved and try and stop it?
Yeah, because I've seen a surge, especially within our class, that people have actually stood up to some other people that have been bullying, really.
Oh, great. So have you enjoyed the project? You think it's worthwhile?
Yeah, I think it's fun.
And do you think doing these lessons has changed the way that students here think about bullying and how to help? And
yeah, definitely, yes, I have. Recently it's not been, people are not scared to stand up for themselves, and they can speak out and they know what's right and wrong for themselves.
Oh, that's really great. Okay. So what kind of messages would you give to people here about if they were being bullied?
You're not the only one, and there's people to talk to. You can talk to your friends, there's teachers, staff, parents, anyone, and they'll listen. So
Right.
you can do something about it.
Great. So you've enjoyed doing the lessons?
Definitely, yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you.
So where next? If you visit the EUenable resource website, not only will you find other professional development resources there for other components of the EUenable program, but you'll also find the opportunity to gain some accreditation through a set of assessment questions.